Peace. Welcome back to another episode of the Money Codes. My name is Joel, here to give you today's money code fix. And today I got a good one for you. I want to go over how your personality is actually impacting not only your income, your career, your relationships. This is something I don't really see this talked about a lot on YouTube and social media. Even on my channel, we talk about credit a lot. We talk about FICO. We talk about increasing your credit scores. We tend to talk about all of the tactical, which credit bureau to dispute, which credit union to apply for, what's your FICO score. Like those things are important. They're 100% important. But one of the things that I feel like is missing, the disc model and how your personality is impacting all these things that we're trying to build towards. We all want to get a 750, 800 plus credit score. We want to have businesses, at least some of us do on this channel. But one of the things that I'm noticing that we are dropping the ball at is our personality, knowing ourselves and knowing how to interact with others. So today we're going to be talking about specifically the DISC personality system and how that really impacts our day to day if we're trying to become successful entrepreneurs, if we're trying to be better in our relationships, be a better parent. Because in all honesty, I think this subject right here is probably the most impactful thing that I've learned in all my years of being an entrepreneur. So let's just jump right into it. So these two books, if you're not hip to these books, if you're trying to be an entrepreneur on any level, you need these two books. You need to read these books at least once per year. They're that impactful. And the reason why I got these two books on the screen is the moral of the story is if you're trying to become an entrepreneur, you're trying to be a hustler, you're trying to be a business owner. One of the biggest things that kills your dreams and kills your business is the fact that you don't know how to delegate. You don't know how to hire. You don't know how to step outside of your business and hire someone to do a task that you don't know really how to do very well, or maybe you think that you're just so smart and you're so clever that you're going to do everything that has to do with your job. You're going to be your web designer. You're going to be your salesperson. You're going to be, the driver. You're going to go to the post office. You're going to do everything by yourself. The only thing that's going to happen if you continue to do that is you're going to burn yourself out. You're going to just drive yourself crazy and burn yourself out, or you're going to hire somebody out of desperation and then you hired the wrong person for the wrong role. And then 6 months down the line, everything just imploded. And now you're back juggling all of the tasks that you were trying to delegate to begin with. So really it's about knowing who you are, knowing what your strengths are, and then also knowing, you know what, I don't like doing X, Y, and Z. So instead of me trying to force myself to do this task, let me hire somebody. Let me get a virtual assistant. Let me get an assistant that I can pay part-time. These two books right here are going to change the way you think about building a business. And the reason why I brought these two books up is because they talk about the importance of delegating, the importance of not burning yourself out. But my question to you is, if you don't know what your strength is, if you don't know what your weaknesses are, how are you going to know what and who to delegate to? How are you going to know how to do that, right? So ignorance is not bliss. 70% of all of the Fortune 500 companies, your Anheuser-Busch's, your Home Depots, your AT&T's, Coca-Cola's, all of the big players, the biggest businesses on the planet, somehow, some way, they're using the DISC model in their hiring system, and they're in some way, shape, or form. They're using the DISC model. So if these big billion-dollar companies are understanding the psychology of DISC and personality, and you're trying to be an entrepreneur, you're trying to, get your hustle on, you need to make sure twice as much that you understand these concepts. So let's just jump right into it. You have four basic quadrants. You have four different type of personalities. The first one is the D. So the D represents dominance. So these are people that are very competitive. They are by any means necessary. Whatever the goal is, they're going to run over you, run through you. They're not really trying to do chit chat. They're not trying to do small talk. Whatever the goal is, they're going to get there. They're like the type A hustlers when you think of like CEOs in movies, when you think of political figures in movies. They're usually D's. They're not trying to be friends with everybody. They know their goal. They know their goal. They're going to get it, and they don't care who's going to stop them or who's going to be in their way. These are your D's, right? Your next one is the I. So who are your I's? I call them like your social butterflies. These are the people that were probably like your homecoming king, homecoming queen back in school. These are the people that every Friday, every Saturday, they know where the party's at. They know the DJs to every spot. They know the bouncer to every club. They know the waitress to every restaurant that's hard to get into. Like these are like the human Rolodexes. They know everybody. They're cool with everybody. Like they're always like the life of the party. These are the I's, right? What's next? S. So S represents steadiness. So steadiness represents these are your team players. These are the people that are very dependable. So you got a flat tire, you're 2 hours away. You call an S type, and they'll drive out there to pick you up without complaining, right? These are the people that do like Habitat for Humanity, or they go out and they do volunteer work for their church, just like for fun. These are the people, like these are like the Mother Teresa types. They just want to help people. They want to be around people. They're not really in it for themselves. They just want to help. They want to be like a shoulder to cry on for like the world. These are your S's. And then your C's, the C is for conscientiousness. These are the people that are like your stereotypical like analysts, your IT nerds. These are the people that are about facts and figures. A lot of times you might see them like become accountants in life. They're really just about numbers, the facts, the figures. Again, similar to the D's, they're not really trying to be buddy buddy with everybody. They're just trying to see like what's the job, what are the data, what are the facts, right? What are the X's and the O's? Let me figure that part out, and then y'all can just network by yourselves. I'm gonna be over here studying these graphs and these charts. So these are the basic four archetypes of the personality. So if you can see on the screen on the left hand side, and I kind of touched on this, the D's and the C's, they're more of your task driven people. So for these just want to get to their goal. A lot of times they want to, become president of the United States, or they want to become the CEO of the company, or they want to work their way up the ladder. If you ever watched the show House of Cards, which was super dope, the main character is the D. By any means necessary, I'm going to get to my goal. The C's, they're similar in the way that they just care about like the facts and the figures, but they're not as dominant. They're more reserved. They're more laid back. They're more chill, but they're still about the task at hand and not about the people. On the right hand side, the I and the S, again, the I's, the social butterflies, the S's, they're more people driven. They're not really about this is the mission, this is the goal. I got to get to the goal today. Boom. We got to meet our deadline by 5 p.m. They're more about being with the people. They're more about supporting people, being around people, helping people, right? And then if you look at the D and the I, if you look at the top half, the outgoing types, these are the, again, D's and the I's. The D's, they're going to be out there. They're going to be running for public office. They're going to be front and center. You're going to notice the D because they're power, right? The I's, they're going to be the loudest person at the party. That's how you know who an I is. Your C's and the S, if they even go to the party, they're probably going to be in a little corner with a couple of their friends. They're going to be chilling. They don't want to be in the public eye. So they're more reserved. So that's kind of an idea of how you can see who's what and who kind of falls into these archetypes, right? So for the position, so if you're an entrepreneur, or let's say you don't have a business, but you're trying to figure out like where can I fit depending on my personality type, what kind of position might suit my personality a little bit better than the rest. So for these, again, dominance, already mentioned CEOs, they're usually in public office, places of power, places of prestige, where their name is up there, where they're kind of getting the shine. You're going to see the D's in these type of positions. It's not going to make a lot of sense to put a D behind a cubicle where they don't really get any recognition or they don't really get any sort of power and prestige. It doesn't really fit what they ultimately want out of life. Eyes will be great in these sales positions because they're probably the best people when it comes to just dealing with people, making people feel comfortable. So real estate agents, a PR firm, they're also very artistic. They're almost like the free spirits, right? The free spirit type people. Those are your eyes. They're the type of people that could rally around a group, do an inspirational speech, have everyone feeling kind of good about themselves, feeling pumped up. These are the eyes, right? Uh, your S's, because they want to nurture people, because they want to support people. You want to see them around your nurses. You want to see them as counselors, mentors, again, volunteering for Habitat for Humanity in these type of positions where they don't really need the shine. They don't need to be like, oh, this is the best person. They're the president of the organ. They're not really those people. They just want to support. And always keep this in mind when you're either trying to apply for a position. If you're a CEO and you're thinking like you're a little bit overwhelmed and you need to get somebody on your team, think about these personality types because, like how I mentioned before, if you need somebody to be inside of a cubicle, inside of the office all day long, they're not really getting a lot of attention, a lot of recognition. Would it make a lot of sense to put like a D or an I in there? Like, it really wouldn't make sense. An I would probably go crazy if they don't have people to feed off their energy, to talk with people, to spend hours having conversations. Eyes will feel very uncomfortable. But if you need someone to be in a cubicle somewhere where there's only maybe one or two people in this little office space, an S and a C, they really won't have a problem with that because they're more chill, they're more reserved. So when you're looking at these positions, when you're thinking about how you need to fill out your staff, or if you're a younger person and you're not really sure what do you want to do in life, or maybe you're somebody that you feel unfulfilled, you may want to check the position that you're in, and is it really fulfilling your personality type? Is it really scratching the itch of what you really want to do? If you're a C and really all you want to do is just analyze and be in the books, and you're in a position where you're having to engage people all day long for 8 hours, you might be coming home drained every day and just like, you know what, I can't do this no more. But that same position, you hand that off to an I type, they're going to thrive because they love being around people. So I want you to think about this over and over again when you're trying to think about how you're going to build your business or apply for positions. So those were kind of the pros. So what are the cons? So your high D type people, because they're so fixated on getting the job done, getting to their goal, getting to the money, getting to whatever the goal is, they can be kind of blunt. They can kind of come across insensitive a little bit because they're not like an S where the S is really concerned about like, I got to make sure everyone's feeling comfortable. I got to make sure this person feels comfortable all the time. That's an S. A D is just like, yo, my bad if I hurt your feelings, but yo, deadline's at 5 p.m. Where's my stuff at? That's a D. So if you are a D type, you might want to think about how you're delivering some of your messages. You might want to think about, okay, am I cutting people off every time I talk to them? Am I making people feel like their thoughts or their opinions aren't really feeling heard? Am I bulldozing over everybody? Like, you may want to just kind of be aware of how you're engaging with people. So eyes, what could be your Achilles heel? Because you need to be around people so much, right? Because you care about, like, again, being the life of the party. You want to be where the fun is. You're the free spirit. Sometimes you're gonna have to learn, like, hey, you gotta kind of fit inside the box here. So because you're like the quote unquote free spirit, it's going to make you feel like someone is trying to clip your wings if they're trying to get you to conform to the social norms of a corporation or of a company. And you kind of just want to do your own thing. You want to be like a free spirit, but sometimes you got to be a little bit organized. Sometimes you got to conform a little bit to what's going on. It can't just be about having fun, you know, life of the party. It can't be that all the time. And you can't always worry about, do the people like me? You may want to be a little bit more mindful of that. Your S's, because your S's are more reserved, they're more laid back, you know, they're more chill, and they kind of have the tendency to put other people first. Your S's, you got to learn how to put your foot down. You got to learn when to say to people no, and not how to justify the no, or give a reasoning or an explanation to why you said no. Sometimes you just got to say no, and just that's it. You got to learn that just appeasing everybody all the time, making other people happy, there's a limit to that. You got to put a boundary and you got to put your foot down. Sometimes just saying no and learning how to say no will be the best friend for an S. And for all my C's out there, and I am a C, if you didn't know by watching my videos, sometimes we get stuck in this paralysis analysis, right? We get stuck in this, everything's got to be perfect, or I can't make the next move until I read 8 books about it, or I got to figure all the data out first, and then I can make the first step. And for all my C's, you might want to have to borrow from the D's in this situation where the D's might just jump out the window when it's time to get their goal. They don't need the information. They don't need the details. A D, you just give them one sentence and they're going to the races. They're off. And the C's might be, you know, still reading the rule book. They might be trying to figure out, okay, what's the next step? What's the fifth step? What's the 15th step? So for my C's out there, I understand you're trying to be perfect. I understand that you're just so critical and you want to nitpick everything and make everything perfect. Everything's got to be like type A perfection. Sometimes your model needs to be done is better than perfect. Just get the job done. Sometimes it's okay to just put a period on whatever you're working on and move on to the next thing instead of trying to study and then study some more and then analyze some more and get another graph. Like, You got to learn to chill on that. It's not always necessary. It's good, but it's not always necessary. All right. So where can you take these this disc assessment? So there were a lot of different places where I saw that you can take the test. Most of these places you got to pay. I did find on Tony Robbins' website, and I'll link that in the description below. They have a pretty good test. They have a pretty good test. You have to sign up. It is free. They'll email you like this little test. It may take about 20, 30 minutes to complete. And of course, they're going to try to upsell you on a more comprehensive results page, or if you want to upgrade to like mentorship. You don't need to do all that. Just go to the Tony Robbins website, put your information, take the test for like 20, 30 minutes. And then they're going to email you a PDF, read through it, see what your tendencies are. And again, we're not cartoons, we're not robots. No one's just always a D all the time or an S all the time. Like most people have a dominant trait, and then they also have like a supporting trait. So you might be like a CS, or you might be a DC or a CD. But usually you kind of know what your primary thing is. Read about that. Read about who you are. Read about who your friends are. If you're thinking about starting a company with some friends of yours and you're just like, okay, I like this person, I like this person, we're just going to go into business together. You might want to take just an afternoon, let everybody take the test, and then make the decision if you're going to go into partnership with that person. Because if you guys are both, let's say, eyes, for example, you just guys want to just party, have fun, interact, mingle, you got to think to yourself, okay, who's going to do like the accounting and balance the books and be the IT and make sure the website doesn't go down and be the programmer? Who's going to be the person in our group that's going to say, hey, we've been socializing and having a good time for 2 weeks now. The deadline has to be due at 5 p.m. today. I don't care if I'm an asshole, but yo, 5 p.m. today, it's got to be done. It's got to be finished today. Who's going to take that role, right? Who's going to be the person that's going to be flexible and it's going to be able to kind of be that shoulder, to be the voice of reason, to be the supportive type? You got to think about whatever you're doing. If it's in a romantic relationship, if you're in a business relationship, if you're on a team at school, if you're in a team in your business, you might just want to be aware, okay, I'm talking to a D type. I need to be kind of straight to the point. They don't like details. Or, hey, I'm dealing with the C type. If you're selling to a C type of person, you got to give them facts. You're not going to be able to just be like, hey, buddy, what's up? Hey, we're cool. See, like, C, they're already kind of cynical and critical to begin with. For a C, you got to know, okay, I'm dealing with the C. Here's the facts. Here's the figures. Here's the data. Here's all the technical stuff. Let the C's chew on that, and then they'll get on board. So you really got to figure out not only who you are, but the people that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. Who are you talking with? Because if you're a D and you're talking to everybody else like they're a D, you might come across like an asshole, right? If you're a C and you just want to just give everyone the analytical breakdown for everything, they don't want to hear that, right? People got stuff to do. They don't care about all the details, right? So not only do you got to know who you are, you got to know who you're talking to, and then that's going to help you when it's time to do delegations. That's going to help you when it's time to scale your business. You know who to put in which positions. That's going to help you in your relationship. If you're one type, your spouse is another type. Understand that you guys may not be talking the same language. Like, this is why this subject is so impactful. You can literally take this test in, again, 20, 30 minutes, knock it out, read it, make your spouse take the test. So much is going to be just illuminated, and it's going to make so much sense. This is, in my opinion, again, this is probably the biggest thing that you can do if you are, again, an entrepreneur, if you're trying to network, if you're trying to get up in corporate America, if you're trying to do anything when you're dealing with people, which is everything, you got to know this. And lastly, this is a pretty cool book that I read. It's called Taking Flight. Very small book, very entertaining. It's like a story about these little birds, and every bird is a different type, and something happens in the wilderness. It's kind of like a little cartoon story, but you get to see all of the personality types interacting with one another in a way that it's kind of lighthearted. It's not too overly complicated, right? If you don't want to pay, just go to the Tony Robbins website. I'll link that in the description below. Again, if I had one piece of advice to give to somebody who was trying to be an entrepreneur, or maybe they're struggling in their career, and there's other different types of personality tests. You got your Myers-Briggs, you got your Enneagrams. There's a whole bunch of stuff out there. For me, DISC is easy. It's simple. 20 minutes in and out. You got your data and you're out. Again, that's all I got for you for today. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that YouTube stuff. I'm gonna check you out in the next video. Peace.